Oh, okay, yeah. I think, yeah, I think you're right. So let's look ahead then. I think we thought we were going to hear from Philly, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Not before this next race anyway. The men's 5,000 metre race, the final race of the evening. Conditions near perfect here at Watford. The crowd are riled up. They've just seen a fantastic comeback from Philly Bowden over Alex Millard. And, wants to watch then. We're going to have Will Barnacle and Mark Scott will pace. And interestingly, Hannah, that pace 65.5. And I'm looking who's going to operate around about 13:30 pace. And one of the men on that start list to watch out for is Jonathan Davies. Look, on his day, he's a 13:16 man. He's had a fairly modest start to the season. I think that's fair in his regard. But if he gets it right, he can go very, very fast. Cam Allan, also a 13:42 guy. He's one of the best men on the start list. Jack Gray as well, 13:41 for him. He 28:36 out in Valencia in January. He too is a little bit up and down. He's another athlete who I think it just shows you how hard it is to balance and peak at the right time when you've got external factors in your life. Full-time work, it might be a very busy period at work. It's very hard to get all the training in at certain times as well. So I guess this sort of level of athlete, you would call them, just sub-elite athletes. Trying to peak at the right time can be challenging, but Gray has some terrific credentials. Not only that, he listed at the National Cross Country Championship last year, which with that being cancelled, he's still the current silver medalist. And we got the National Cross Country Champion also in this race, James Kingston, I believe, the under 23, 14:03 he ran in Battersea at that comeback 5,000. He's a 13:54 man on his day. So there you go then. 2 starts at Waterfall start. They'll break, of course, after 100 metres or so. Multiple lights. You've got blue, green, red and white, all offer different sort of tempos. I believe that second wave light, the green one, Hannah, or is it the red one, which is going to be paced at 13:51. And I think that's Will Barnacle is going to pace that one. And he's looking to try and help out his teammate, Tomer, to a British Champs qualifying standard. Is that correct? You may know more.
Yeah, so we've got 13:39, that's the first race, first light, 13:51 the second, and then 14:10 for the back light, if you like. You can keep an eye on that UK standard. That is 14:48, 13:48. There we go, got it, 5th time lucky. But I think that's a good shout, actually, that Tomer could certainly be targeting that. Tomer Tarragano has been brilliant over the cross-country season. It does live with Will Barnacle, so probably have engineered that. But the pace at the front, very, very hot and very fast. And it'd be great to see those men get as far under 14 minutes as they can.
Yeah, and there is a few Indian athletes in here that's worth noticing, and they all competed at the night of 10,000s just what or so ago over the 10K there at Parliament Hill. Jot Singh is one. He's a very fast. It's 13:44 lifetime best. Matri as well, 13:52 lifetime best, and Sawan Barwal a 13:50 lifetime best. But the way they ran over 10,000 would indicate that they might have more in the tank. That we expect to see them around about that 13:30 potentially. Alfie Manthorpe, how can we forget him? Newly signed to that New Balance Team Manchester group, been training out in St. Moritz alongside James West, who's going to go in that European final tonight. Literally, as we speak, West will be doing 12.5 laps of the track, and so is his training partner, Mansour. Helen Clitheroe's got one eye on that. 49, Hannah City, you were there, you witnessed that one, and can he sort of improve on that mark?
I like to think so. Yeah, I think it was a nice race there, but I think when you get your 5Ks are so hard to master, and you really got to judge your effort. And like you were saying, the lights can sometimes rob you of that internal barometer and assessing whether you're tired and what you can cope with. And I think athletes, if they've raced already this season and they've really dialed into that, they could be ready to. Like Innes Fitzgerald, do you take a risk? Do you put yourself out there and try and see what might happen, even if you're vulnerable in the kind of 4th and 5th kilometres? But Manthorpe knows what he's capable of. He ran very well at Sports City, so he's probably got to roll the dice and just go with it here.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Tuade Menges looks to be just stuck in no man's land at the moment, just sort of. He's not busy, and I think Will Barnacle is going to swallow him up shortly. And in behind Barnacle, we know we got Tomer there in the red, sort of 3 spots back from the bright yellow of Barnacle. But also, I think we've got We've got Joe Tuffin in here as well, potentially. He's a man in great form, 3:39 in Belgium just a few weeks ago. Jethro McCraw doing a great job coaching him. He's gone from strength to strength over those last few years. So all setting up domestically in behind these internationals, these Indian athletes up front. And of course, Alfie Manthorpe, he's probably one man who is grateful they are in this race today, because they look to be able to drag him to a faster time. But the pack, very, very deep on those wave lights, 13:51. They will all have that British qualifying standard in their minds. That's where they will want to be in a couple of weeks' time. They want to be in Manchester at those Olympic trials.
This could be so exciting for Alfie Manthorpe, just to have these 3 Indian athletes keep him company. They're so experienced. They know what they're doing. They know each other. Barwal, Matcha and Jot Singh just working together, and Alfie Manthorpe, hopefully he can just have a very quiet race and just sit right on the green lights behind those 3. And it is some wonderful pacemaking here from Tricus and Scott. And if they could just, I mean, when you've got a pack like that, a calibre of the 6 men all running around together at the moment, even though 2 of them are pacemakers, just gives me a lot of excitement that they can keep this pace going and they can stay on for something very, very good. They've got another lap to go till they get their 2K split, but they're moving right on the fast lights at the minute.
No, indeed, they are lapping bang on that 65 tempo. I had them just outside 5:20 for the mile. That is, well, yeah, right on 13:30 tempo, and it's great to see 3 men plus Manthorpe in this one. The question is, I mean, how far is Mark Scott going to take them? He had a bit of a disappointing 1500 by his standards, still adjusting, but this is going to be a lot more familiar territory for him, lapping the 5,000, just that slightly slower tempo. I think he's going to enjoy a lot more. I certainly think that marathon took a bit more out of him than he thought, and obviously being a new dad, I bet he's functioning off only a few hours sleep last night, but he looks good at the moment. And if he can get these men to sort of 3,000, possibly 4,000, they are going to love that. Already we're just started seeing Indian athletes just drop off a little bit. I think the one in second hand is that Sawan Barwal of India, just looking to stay on Mark Scott's shoulders at this stage.
Yeah, and it's Harmanjot Singh who's just dropped off the back of the group there, and I think they were, what were they, around about 5:25, 5:27 or so through 2 kilometres, so right on that 13:35, and no faster as such. You might expect them to lift the pace ever so much. Joe Tuffin, ever so slightly. Joe Tuffin right behind Will Barnaker. You mentioned that 3:39 in IFAM. That was a real breakthrough for Joseph Tuffin, and he's just seen his training partner Tyler Billiard do the same to take second in the A race. Manthorpe, that is a wonderful move. Every time someone drops the pace and there's a gap, Alfie Manthorpe is straight on it, and he whizzes past one of the other Indian athletes. I think that's Sawan Barwal, perhaps the next casualty of this super fast pace at the front. And just Mark Scott, the world indoor bronze medalist over 3,000 metres. Pacemaking, apologies, it's 3:97 is still up there. That is Sawan Barwal, and it's Kiran Matcha of India, the next athlete to drop off this pace, and Alfie Manthorpe picking up pieces.
It is Barwal. He went off at a little bit of a suicidal pace at the night at 10K PBs at Parley Hill a few weeks ago. He faded badly on that occasion, but he looks a lot smoother here, doesn't he? He looks quite relaxed. Alfie Manthorpe, yeah, he's running a very, very smart race, and well, he's clearly trained well under the likes of Helen Clitheroe, joining that group alongside James West. They've had a great camp in St. Moritz in that 13:49. It looks like he is just getting started, and to have another man operating in that 13:30 tempo would be terrific. 5,000 meter running well on the up in the UK. For a few years we had a few men actually struggle to keep pace with the likes of Mark Scott, and when those standards got raised to 13:05, everyone was like, it's ridiculous, we're never going to do it. But these men are responding, and Alfie Manthorpe seems to be the next in the pipeline. He's not quite a low 13-minute runner yet, but if he can hang on here and run 13:30, that's a huge step in the right direction. And it's him and Sawan Barwal. And look at this, Mark Scott, he's going to get them another sort of 200 metres or so, will be 3,000 metres, and in a roundabout just outside. Oh, so he's just dropped out to 2,800 metres for Scott. And that's tough, Hannah. They are just over halfway, and there's 2 men out front. And if Manthorpe finds himself on his own over the next few laps, he's got a big old train of men who are bang on those lights. Will Barnaker was pacing them round. It's Tuffin, Cam Allan in there as well, Jack Gray. There's a big group ready to, I guess, collect him up.
So we have the Sawan Barwal leading the way in about 3
Barwal's pushing. He's keeping himself on the lights, and he liked to think if Manthorpe could stay on the lights, if he could stay with the Indian athlete, he would. That's 3 kilometres. They're well under 8:15 there, so they're kind of in between that 13:30, 13:45 pace. Cameron Allan, look at that move from the cross country. He's very good on the cross. You never know whether he's going to be as good on the track. Another one of those athletes, can they transfer that form? But he's almost looked like he's waited for that 3K split and then kicked past Joe Tuffin away from that group. So Cameron Allan in 3rd place at the moment. If Alfie Manthorpe's got this wrong at all, Allan's going to have a fantastic target to aim at, because the Indian athlete Barwal is just moving really, really well here in the lead.
He is moving well, but even he seems to just be slipping away from those lights. They've edged clear of him. So these men were hot. They were aggressive for 2,000 metres, and now they're asking the question. Yep, you mentioned Cam Allan. Scott Sterling is another man. I could just see him there on the outside. He's a fantastic cross runner himself. He represented GB at those World Cross Country Championships. 74th out is Serbia. Those UK inter-counties as well. He's dipped inside 14 minutes already at the comeback 5,000. That was early season. That was off his cross-country work. What can he do when he's perhaps got a little bit more speed work in the legs? So Barwal, that's a big gap now, and those lights just drifting away. And do you know what? I make that close to a 70-second lap for Manthorpe, so he is fading. Tomar is looking to push on that chase group there.
Really strong running in the chase pack, and that's what they are right now. Cameron Allan has shot off the front of it, and he's eating up the gap between himself and Alfie Manthorpe. Yes, Sawan Barwal is slowing at the front, but the other athletes are slowing a little bit more, I think. I don't know for sure. I think the Indian looks good. The cadence is high. He's got his eyes down. He's focusing. He's not looking around. He's not wondering. He's not worrying. He's not looking over his shoulder. If he did look over his shoulder, though, he might be slightly concerned, because Cameron Allan is shifting here in the 4th kilometre. He's gone flying past Alfie Manthorpe. There goes Tomer Tarragano. Joe Tuffin will try and live with him. Jack Gray working hard in the middle of that group. Oh, Cameron Allan, he's moving very quick. Could we see a Philly Bowden-esque last 600 metres or so? He might not need that already. Look at the gap that Cameron Allan has opened up on the rest of the field of Tuffin and Tarragano, of Tomer Tarragano, and he is just eating up the gap on the Indian athlete in the lead at the moment.
Indeed, 3 laps to go for these men then. And Cam Allan just looking to close that gap. He's got plenty of time. He doesn't need to panic. He doesn't need to force it too much yet. Not with 3 laps to go. Manthorpe, to be fair to him, he's sticking at his task. He's not falling apart. He's just slowing up. He's just having to settle into a slower rhythm. It's interesting. How will he respond when a load more men come by? Because you can see Tomar. That's an aggressive move from Tomar. And this is how I think you should run 5,000 metres. Get 4K done and then really hit that last kilometre. It's how they run it on the circuit. You see time and time again them drop sort of 5-6 seconds over that last kilometre. And look at this. Tomar is already on the heels of Cam Allan. Barwal's fading. And there's the, that's interesting because they're at 13:50. Lights, Hannah. So we are going to see something. 800 to go. Something not quite as special as we first thought.
It's the one after.
Tomer Tarragano, though, he's never gone underneath 14 minutes, so he's operating way faster than he's ever done. Silver medal at the Bucks Championship because he had to go up against his teammate, his housemate, Will Barnacle. It's almost mission impossible to try and win that. So Tomer is a very, very good athlete in his own right. He's had a wonderful last couple of cross-country seasons representing Great Britain at the European Cross-Country Championships. He has worked hard to transfer that form onto the track. He made the European Under-23s last year over 10K, but this, for Tomer Tarragano, is a fantastic run. Cam Allan has responded, though. The men this time round, it is 600 metres to go. And there is, I think, a bit of a response here from Sawan Barwal. He's just rallying. He's getting back towards Cameron Allan. But Tomer, he's got to concentrate here. He's going to have 500 metres to go. At the moment, he looks like he's got the momentum. He looks like he's pulling away from Cameron Allan. But if he's judged this any wrong at all, I think Sawan Barwal of India does have a bit of energy left in the tank.
Look, Tomer, he is full of confidence at this point. When you've just, in the span of 600 metres, he's gone from about 5th or 6th right into the lead. He's rifled through this field, and he's full of running as well. 12:41 for 12:42 at the bell. He's going to crush, I think, that 13:50 mark. That's where those red lights are at 13:50. He looks full of running. He's very, very composed. You mentioned as well, he's never broken 14 before. He's well deserving of a sub 14-minute 5K. His credentials on the cross-country actually speak for themselves. The man's represented GB, second of those Bucks cross-country championships as well. It's just a matter of time, if not when. And look at him go now. Tomer Tarragano, ladies and gentlemen. Goodness me, the Birmingham University student trains alongside Will Barnacle, like you said. This is how to run a 5,000 metres. You just pour it on over that final kilometre. He's done just that. Alfie Manthorpe coming back into second place. He fell asleep for a few kilometres through that middle section. He's going to run Tomer close over this last 100. He's not going to get on terms with this man, though. Second of the Bucks 5,000. He's going to win here at the Watford Grand Prix. Fantastic running and a deserving massive lifetime best. 13:44 takes the A race. Manthorpe is second. Allan there in third, and the rest of them flock across the line. We saw Barwal, who did the early running as well. Jack Gray coming across. And how many men can we get seen? Hannah, that's the question. Time and time again, we see them do it on the roads, but can they do it on the track? 12 and a half laps at Watford.
And Allan in third place.
Brilliant running there, and just to mark your cards, I think Joseph Tuffin and the athlete just behind him might have been perhaps a Nottingham vessel, I wasn't quite sure. They were under 14 minutes as well, so I think the top 6 or 7 there, all under 14 minutes. Great running from them. It's a real benchmark for these athletes, and the rest of the ones behind sticking to their task super well. But Tomer Tarragano really went for it there, and a €500 payday for him as well. I think when you're a student and you pick up €500, that's a lovely day. That will go a long way. But a strong rally from Alfie Manthorpe. I think you called it right, Matt. He must have had a bad patch, I think, in that 4th kilometre. Doubted himself ever so slightly. And, he might have finished underneath his personal best set the other day of 13:49 as well.
I think it would have been very close, Hannah, and that's a pretty impressive run considering if he has broken 13:49 to run it like he did, very aggressive early, fade and then come back, shows if he just runs it a little bit more evenly, then he's in for a big performance. But it's hard, isn't it? You've got to have the confidence to be able to do what Tomer did. You've got to really back yourself over that final K. Time and time again, athletes just want to get on that pace and be even ahead of, even bank a little bit of time in a 5,000. But honestly, the fastest way to run this event is close hard, close that last kilometre. And often coaches and friends and colleagues in the sport will tell you, you ran a 60 last lap. If you only went off faster, you'd do more damage. And it's not the case. It's not the case in these endurance events, I don't think. And Tomer, look, he's proved that. He backed himself and he's executed absolutely perfectly tonight.
I think you're absolutely right, Matt. How many times do people walk away from a PB saying, oh, it felt really good, I definitely got more in the tank, when actually they paced it perfectly and you want to finish strongly. And I think Philly Bowden still wins the title for the strongest finish from the day. That was absolutely phenomenal to take the win in the women's 5,000 metre A. But it has been a wonderful evening so far. And this is the second in the BMC Grand Prix of the year. We had Sport City yielded another Irish national record from Kiran McGeehan. She goes in the European 5,000 metres and saw a BMC record from Phoebe Gill. Tonight we've had some phenomenal fast times from juniors, seniors, under 20s, under 17s. Ava Lloyd, the under 20, knocking 6 seconds off her personal best to win the 1,500 metre A race was a personal highlight for me. But the 5,000s have been incredibly entertaining in the last 30 to 45 minutes, all 3 of them, the men's 5,000B, the women's 5,000A, and now this, the men's 5,000A. And we do think we're going to have a moment to capture an interview from Tomer Tarragano. We've had a few live interviews on the programme today. If you missed any of them or you want to see any more, make sure you head to the BMC Instagram, where Becky Lynn and all her interviews from each of the winners of all of the races tonight will feature. Have a quick look at the BMC chairman Tim Brennan as well. It works tirelessly to make sure that all of these Grand Prix are a success. He has highlighted the additional support we've had this year from sportshoes.com and from Adidas. It's been a wonderful year so far for the BMC.
Just good.